So the market recently sold off, and during this time, I think that it's so important to focus on the big picture here. Yes, we are having a sell-off. Yes, are we having a manipulative push in the cycle as well? 100%. It started over the weekend. It cascaded into the week. This followed with liquidations, also a little bit of concern around the S&P, especially with the Fed, talking about how equities are a little bit overvalued. The main thing to focus on here is, are we in a bear market? I don't believe so. Listen, the market will not top around local highs. When it comes to most of the altcoin market, we barely scratched the surface of the highs going back to January of this year. So we didn't even top around euphoria. Nobody was euphoric in this market besides, maybe Bitcoin maxis, because Bitcoin made a new all-time high and it went, even higher. Beyond that, most of the market has been pretty boring, and most of the market has been frustrating as well, especially for a lot of altcoin holders. So I don't believe that we're in a bear market. I think that we will get through this correction, and then after, we should start to see a much larger push in the market. So the best thing to do during this time is, focus on what matters, which is, number one, we will bounce back from this. Number two, fundamentals. With projects like Hedera, we know what's happening with Hedera. Even if this isn't, a short-term play for some of you, the long-term looks very, very good on a lot of these projects. The short-term, I still think will do very, very good. I know that there's a lot of you out there that don't really care about the lower time frame structure of these charts. You don't even care about charts at all, which I get, right? A lot of us are long-term investors. But for those that do care, I do think that we could see a little bit more pain. I'm not saying that we do get to see this blue zone get tapped on HBAR, but this would be about roughly 16 to 19 cents. The main thing that I would be watching for during this time is RSI to hold roughly around like this 42-ish area. That would be holding this uptrend that we started going all the way back to April of this year. And then also, higher lows. The main lows that we want to hold on this chart is just the lows from April and also the summer, so like June, July. So even if we did dip down to these lows down here, this would still be a higher low structure, and then from that point on, we could break above this trend line, retest the trend line as well, and then continue higher. I do think that right now, yes, we're still seeing significant bearish price action in the market. This could definitely lead into, just bleeding throughout the rest of this week. And then next week, we could see a much larger bounce going off of just RSI and most of these charts being, oversold. But beyond that, long term, still very good on HBAR, nothing to be concerned about, just short term volatility and a little bit of pain. But beyond that, we're still locked in this cycle for HBAR to perform. Now, talking about that, you probably already saw by the title and by the thumbnail, yes, I do think that every single HBAR holder, if you hold HBAR, this is extremely important to focus on, and that's AI. We have been following the connections between NVIDIA and Hedera since the announcement of Equity Labs, NVIDIA, and Intel coming together for unveiled Verifiable compute. This is huge. Verifiable compute is going to be a huge thing that we need to study, because this is going to be something that impacts enterprise-based systems and even institutional-based systems. Once they unveiled this, we kind of knew that Hedera was much bigger than we expected in the AI side of the market. Now, in terms of crypto, most AI projects are not AI projects. They just have AI in the name, and they, pretty much, I would say, forked ChatGPT. That's what most AI projects in the space are. It's just a fork of ChatGPT. When we're looking at what Hedera is doing here with Verifiable compute with Equity Lab, this is a completely different use case around AI for blockchain. I bring this back up because we're going to learn a little bit more about this, but I bring it back up because we just got a huge announcement from NVIDIA, which was the fact that they partnered with OpenAI. This is to deploy 10 gigawatts of AI infrastructure featuring millions of NVIDIA Vera Rubin GPUs. The deal will enable OpenAI to scale their own data centers and maintain growth with current cloud partners. I bring this up because we are watching as AI becomes bigger than ever before. It's advancing. We are starting to see names like NVIDIA and OpenAI and even Intel as well expand the AI frontier. This is going to accelerate AI innovation, AI growth, the learning around AI systems. We're starting to see this become a much bigger deal. I do think that within the next 12 to 24 months, AI is going to advance so quickly. Because in the last, 2 years, we've witnessed AI become something that we never thought that it would in the short amount of time that it did. So again, moves like this are very significant. However, we won't see this matter if we cannot control AI systems, if we cannot put guardrails in. Enter in verifiable compute. This is the big piece of the puzzle. Now, I did isolate the voice from this because it does have music. So here is the original video just without the music. Listen closely to this.
As artificial intelligence continues to cement itself as a core part of the emerging digital economy, the lack of transparency in how AI models are trained, developed, and deployed presents significant risks, not only to enterprises, but to society as a whole. In order to address this critical challenge, Equity Lab, in collaboration with industry titans NVIDIA and Intel, has developed Verifiable Compute, the first hardware-based solution to govern and audit AI workflows using the blockchain. Verifiable Compute introduces a cryptographic AI notary system that creates tamper-proof records of every data object and code computed during AI processes. This hardware-based approach ensures explainability, accountability, and security at runtime. The foundational trust layer of this solution is Hedera, creating a trusted, immutable ledger of AI computations. Every operation performed on compatible Intel CPUs and NVIDIA GPUs is recorded with precise timestamping, enabling auditable trails and smart contract orchestration across AI protocols. As AI integration deepens across finance, healthcare, media, and public sectors, this solution will establish new standards for transparent, verifiable AI systems, bringing unprecedented trust to our increasingly AI-driven world.
So again, when we are thinking about this, enterprises are eager to adopt AI systems. Even institutional players are very eager about this as well. But we won't see that happen unless we have these players, like for an example, Hedera, building the guardrails with names like Equity Labs. And that's exactly what's happening here through verifiable compute, being able to verify what we're seeing from these AI workflows. And by the way, go all the way back to about the end of 2021, where Hedera partnered up with ServiceNow. ServiceNow is one of the biggest players, around like 80% of the Fortune 500. This includes top tier enterprises, and they partnered up with Hedera for a very similar use case where it was automated workflows. That's using AI. As far back as 2021, Hedera was still focused on AI-based systems and infrastructure. When we are thinking about this unlocks the power behind those types of use cases and the moves that Hedera has already been making for a very long time. Now, to advance on all of this, we have over here from MTech back in July. MTech announced its membership in the NVIDIA Inception program. Central banks, regulators, and FSPs work to accelerate the pace of business. Artificial intelligence may help overcome data sprawl and speed transactions. MTech is working with central banks to develop LLM and AI features for compliance and risk monitoring. And the best part about this is another big piece of the puzzle, because MTech is working with these big names around AI-based, systems for compliance and risk monitoring at the same exact time that MTech partnered up with Hedera back in 2021. We read the Project New Dawn white paper. It was a big one, big confirmation of just how big Hedera was going to be around the central banking system. But I bring this up because we have been starting to see a lot of things happening around this partnership ever since back in January when it was announced. Like, for example, June 11th, Hedera partnered up with Accenture on this. We're excited to introduce a new AI solution with Accenture and Equity Lab that will help governments and public sector organizations manage AI-driven decisions with transparency, auditability, and trust via the Hedera network. And this built upon what we already had with Equity Lab with NVIDIA. But again, Accenture is an absolute giant. They are a stacked enterprise giant, and they are crucial infrastructure for enterprises as well. And I bring all of this up because of this post from yesterday. 9 essential plays to advance responsible AI innovation. We are proud to have Chief Policy Officer represent Hedera in the World Economic Forum's AI Governance Alliance, 600 plus global leaders. This entire PDF file is a playbook on advancing responsible AI innovation to make sure that we have operational, responsible AI in the world. Artificial intelligence is driving new waves of innovation and growth. The key to realizing its full potential lies in the widespread adoption of responsible AI, the practice of building and managing AI systems to maximize benefits while minimizing risks to people, society, and the environment. Yet, less than 1% of organizations have fully operationalized responsible AI in a comprehensive and anticipatory manner. Such a gap represents a defining opportunity to build a public trust, develop resilient markets, and safeguard rights while progressing AI innovations. And when we are talking about this big issue, where 99+% of organizations have yet to launch these operationalized responsible AI systems, that means that the market opportunity here for what Hedera is doing with Equity Lab is massive, because there's 99+% of organizations waiting on the sidelines to fully adopt AI. That's why this PDF file regarding how to adopt AI, how to advance AI, is so crucial to study and read. Obviously, yes, I know that most of you don't want to read this. Just looking at the executive summary here can tell you everything that you need to know, right? The main thing that we're focused on is driving innovation. But we don't get that innovation without building public trust to enable these AI systems, which is why the data around AI systems and having smart contracts in place to control AI-based systems that are fully decentralized is so important. Here's the dimensions, right? We have dimensions 1 through 3, and this is really all you need to know, right? Number 1, lead with a long-term responsible AI strategy and vision for value creation. Unlock AI innovation with trustworthy data governance. Again, this is where you can fit in the work with Equity Lab and Hedera, because that's all based around trustworthy data, transparent data. That way we can use that data to, actually control AI systems, but also really train AI systems. Then we have design resilient, responsible AI processes for business continuity. And then dimension 2, governance and accountability. All of this is to make sure that these AI systems can be controlled, which will lead to dimension 3, which is development and use, which is where we develop AI-based systems that are, automated, and then we can scale it. Play 8 is scaling it. And then play 9 is increasing responsible AI literacy and workforce transition opportunities. So this is where we start to see the big picture unfold. So you don't need to read all of this to study this and understand what's happening here with AI. Hedera is a key player behind all of this, though, because this document is in collaboration with Accenture, the same name that Hedera partnered up with back in June to help governments and public sector organizations manage AI-driven decisions with transparency, auditability, and trust via the Hedera network. Hedera is 10 times bigger than you ever thought when it comes to the AI revolution. This is why Hedera is that powerhouse. This is why Hedera will see, enterprise-grade use scale on the network. Enterprises are going to choose a network that they can build AI systems with, that they can trust. This is where we start to see enterprises adopt Hedera around AI systems, but also remember, we have tokenization, we have stablecoins, all of these use cases that enterprises love. Hedera is that all-in-one powerhouse around enterprise players. This is very exciting to see. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because of more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.